I don't know how you like these things. But we're live.
I think we're live. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Christmas special of Let's Drone Out. I am NJ Tech, and with me tonight we have the usual band of misfits. We have Andrew / Frank.
Good evening.
We have Andy RC.
Evening, everyone.
We have a private drone investigator from Gatwick, Tony. Hello, Tony.
Oh, bonjour.
And a special guest tonight is Greg from Menace RC. Hey, Greg.
Hey, good evening, everyone.
So I guess we should probably kick things off by talking about private investigator Tony heading down to Gatwick today, which is the subject of much controversy.
Was there something going on at Gatwick then?
Apparently there was.
What was happening down there, NJ?
Well, I'm going to let you fill us in, Tony, as you were there, stood on your van with a pair of goggles, looking incredibly inconspicuous to the numerous amount of press that was there. So yeah, why don't you take us through?
I can't believe I missed it. I didn't even know. I found out literally 3 minutes ago that this occurred, and I'm gutted.
Oh, Andy, I'm to catch up on my Facebook's account. You can have a look.
Was it? Oh, it's on your Facebook. What
It's posted on LDO Facebook as well.
Was it national news or like regional news? Just so I can, figure out.
Thank you.
It's quite big news. Gatwick's been shut for 24 hours.
I think we've got a link now, haven't we?
Has it really been shut for 24 hours?
Yeah, well, I woke up this morning and my Facebook and chat was gone mad, like drones over Gatwick and all this lot. So
okay,
I thought I'd go and have a look.
So you're very good at being concise, and you've been following this quite closely today. So why don't you give us a rundown of exactly what has happened today and where we are?
So at 9 p.m. last night, there were two drone reports of drones flying over the perimeter fence into Gatwick Airport.
At night? In the dark?
Mm-hmm.
In the rain, no less. And then so the runway was shut, airport was shut down, holding all the planes to go and find out what's going on. They couldn't find anything. So they were about to open up again at about 3 in the morning, and then it was spotted, or something else was spotted again, so it was shut again, and that's been going on. About to open up, another one spotted, close it all down again for the past 24 hours.
Hasn't this happened before with Gatwick?
The last time it happened was in 2016, and that was when the Secretary of State ended up saying, "Oh, maybe this was a plastic bag."
It always seems to be Gatwick. Is what I'm getting at for some reason.
Yeah,
so,
but this has been very different because this has had multiple police helicopters, lots of police, armed police, snipers, military, all getting involved. So
I did not know that.
A full 5 stars on Grand Theft Auto.
The 5-star chase. And what do we know about the actual drone itself and sightings? Because I saw something in one of the articles saying, I mean, obviously it's Chinese whispers, isn't it? We end up with this stupid thing of things going from, for instance, a plastic bag up to, it had weapons on it and guns, and it was doing
industrial is what I heard.
Yeah, industrial.
I don't know what that means, but big.
So basically, we have no information, and some people have been making sort of guesses, and then people have been reporting on those guesses, and so that gets reported, and so that's then news, and so other people are reporting it as fact, and it all gets very messy very quickly. That's kind of the media cycle.
I love an alternative fact. What was it that Tony was saying to me earlier? You said there has been one video, possibly.
Apparently there's a video now. I've seen a video, but there's no clear evidence that it's at Gatwick. I mean, you just see a drone flying through the air and a couple of people going, ooh, and saying something.
Yeah, it was the Daily Mail, so it's not.
Right, okay.
So,
forget the credibility of that then.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I was there. I went down to the end of Gatwick this morning, about 9:30 a.m.
Yes, talk us through that. Talk us through what
I just went down there and just took my goggles, just to see if there was anyone.
Took your goggles and flew over the perimeter fence.
I thought, shall I take a drone? No.
So you didn't actually have a drone with you because the police did talk to you, right? Which was
yeah,
was
they come out.
move.
I was just telling them what to look out for and how far they can fly, and the weather conditions could make the battery cold, you know. So
you just decided to do that. Then you weren't contacted.
Yeah, no, I just went down there because I was working. I work in Hawley, which is really close to Gatwick. So I was working in the area today.
Did you bribe anyone, Tony, to get?
No bribing involved today.
Oh wow! I
was just standing. I just stood on top of my van so I could see right down the runway, and it was so eerily quiet all around that area because there's always planes coming in and out.
I think is the video because someone videoed you, like took a video of the TV with your little interview on it.
Yeah, there was a guy from Channel 5 who.
Have we got a link? Is it on our LDO page? Because
it's on the LDO Facebook page.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it, guys, go over and to the LDO Facebook page, and you can have a look at that. But the opening shot is Tony being filmed standing on his van with his goggles down, just turning his head to look around. So yeah, I can imagine that.
Well, you know, I had my Menace set up on, so if I could see anything,
great advertising.
There you go.
Brilliant. Checked in the post.
But no, there was, you know, I just thought, if it's going to be an FPV, or I'm going to be able to tune into their channel. Obviously, it's not. It's probably a light bridge or some kind of DJI drone.
It's probably nothing.
If it was a drone, because we were there ages and we saw nothing. I spoke to the guy with the big camera on his shoulder. There was guys with big lenses, you know, taking pictures right down the runway, and they didn't see anything all day. They were there hours before me and they hadn't seen anything. And I was working in Hawley all day, which is right next to Gatwick, and it was eerily quiet because you can normally hear planes taking off and everything.
I mean, it's a funny thing, isn't it? Because you wonder who's... I would think the first person to spot a drone, and if it was at night, it would have to have some kind of illumination, because against the black sky with no lights on it, you very likely wouldn't have seen it, even if you're in the cockpit. But it was probably, I would think, a pilot report, because I don't think Gatwick have anyone stationed on drone lookout. I wouldn't have thought, not yet.
Maybe
after today, but
maybe they do, because they have bird watchouts. You know, if you ever at an airfield and hear a massive bang, that is somebody
crashing into an airplane
with a gun scaring birds away.
Can I just say something in the chat? Richard Harwood said Tony standing on a van is normal height for most people. Funny, Rich.
That's not fair. You're not a short guy, Tara, are you?
I'm not tall, but that was funny, so I'll give him that. Happy Christmas, Richard, you bastard.
Yeah,
sorry.
What a palaver. But yeah, interesting. Whether, you know, obviously there's speculation, as there was the last time, as to whether there is actually a drone, and there'll have to be I mean, you've got to back that up pretty substantially than to just throw out a rumor and then ground. I mean, those planes, basically, they absolutely hemorrhage money whilst they're on the ground. The only time those planes earn money is when they're in the air, and it's, you know, thousands and thousands of pounds every few minutes. You know, it's a lot of cash. Yeah. So to have that many planes grounded had to be, you would think, based on something very credible and something of serious concern, be it the size of the drone that was the concern, or the number of drones, or, you know, there must be something credible for this to happen. If not, you know, what was the other thing we were saying? Is it another computer? Let's do a conspiracy thing, shall we? Is it another computer crash at Gatwick, and they're like, quick, blame the drones while we try?
Well, if they blame the drones, they don't have to pay out, because it's an act of God or something like that, isn't
it? Act of thumbs.
Yeah, well, you know, it's that kind of a thing.
I think what's going to be annoying about this as well is their concern is probably like from a terror perspective. You know, I think that is probably why. They should. You know, so there's this fear of terrorists using drones to weaponize, crash into planes and stuff like that. except I don't think it's taken like that. It's just taken as drones in general are bad, which obviously, if you think about it, it couldn't have been a DJI model because it wouldn't let it fly that close.
Well, unless it's hacked.
Yeah, you can hack them, can't you? There are hack websites where you can download the hack software, but on the whole, it's...
Most people wouldn't do that, though.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Most people wouldn't do that.
Well, they're all treating it now as that someone is purposefully going out to cause trouble. This isn't like someone doesn't know what they're doing and has flown a drone near an airport to get some good shots. This is someone is going out there to stop the airports at Christmas time to cause a maximum amount of disruption and economic trouble. And then they're also saying, but we're not treating this as terrorism. But
that is terrorism, isn't it?
That is what terrorism is about.
Yeah.
Causing as much trouble as possible.
The thing is,
exactly.
You know, it wouldn't be somebody in our world doing it in our community, or at least I would hope not. There's only been one case of that when somebody dived that. Remember that plane coming in to land in it, and they dived whilst it was doing it. But I would say in general, like you know, if it was, it'd probably have to be a custom rig, is what I'm saying. Like, you know, something that isn't geofenced and all of that business. And
maybe I spoke to a customer today who said she was sitting in a conservatory. She lives pretty close to Gatwick in Hawley. She was sitting in a conservatory and she heard a drone at 9 p.m. And I said, are you sure it was a drone? She said, I know the difference between the buzzing noise and a proper helicopter. And I was like, was it raining? And she said, no, it wasn't raining. So she may have heard something. She didn't look out, so she didn't see anything. She heard something that she assumed was a drone.
It's really
not at 9 p.m. But it was raining where I was at 9 p.m. I remember it was peeing down, and I'm just up Pease Pottage. I'm up from Gatwick probably 4 or 5 miles. But in Hawley, where she was, she said at 9 p.m. when she heard it, it wasn't raining at that particular time.
It's really sad.
She didn't put 2 and 2 together till she saw the news in the morning.
Like this year, I've never had any backlash or anyone come up to me, and anytime anyone's come up to me while I'm flying, they've been interested. And this year, people have been very hostile. Like when I've been flying, and that's what makes me sad, because nothing for me has changed in 2 years. You know, it's just these cases that people will see on the news. Gatwick closed 24 hours, and then they'll see me flying a drone, and then come and want to whack me in the head or something. You know, it's just really it's sad. And are we on borrowed time, do you reckon, now? Because
it's pretty bad whatever's happened, isn't it? But they're saying industrial size, so
I mean, they're changing the story all the time because it's the news cycle. I mean, we've had this before. They've gone hell to leather about it, and then by the time the actual facts come out, they've dropped it and they've gone on to something else. I imagine, you know, it won't be long before this falls under the bridge, and we won't have to worry about this anymore for a while.
Yeah, it's quite big though, isn't it? It's shut Gatwick for 24 hours. There's a lot of money involved.
Yeah,
I reckon it's Amazon.
Yeah, trying to clear the airways.
We'll give you some money. You shut it down.
They're testing up around my way, sort of Cambridge area, so they're a long way up from Gatwick. But for me, it's just a scapegoat until I see something more substantial in terms of evidence. MC Creations made a good point that airports should really start to think about being prepared for this kind of stuff. If it's going to cost this kind of money, huge amounts of money every time the planes have to be grounded because of a sighting for which there's, as I said, nothing's proved yet. So we'll you know,
this is
how good a job would it be if they employed a couple of us lads to fly our racing drones up into a drone that might have come into the area? We could like knock them out of the sky. You know, get employed to do that. That'd be a nice job, wouldn't it?
I think there'd be a lot of sitting around, Tony, and you and Jack sitting around together like that. I think
Oh my
you'd end
God,
up-
it'd be death in about 24 hours.
You'd be dead. Where is Jack? Jack,
I was going to say, because Jack isn't here, that must mean he must have got his old wooden boom copter out and taken that up, and it's
That's
gone
it.
flying off to Gatwick.
he's just lost it and lost the plot and taken his tricopter up there, and no, it's a shame, but I'm looking forward to seeing Tony on the TV. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I like watching Tony on the iSeries thing. That was cool. Were you wearing your Let's Drone Out top on TV, Tony? Oh,
Not this time. I was advertising my A1 window cleaning, which the ladies don't like, apparently. As soon as I tell a girl I'm a glazing hygienist, they think, oh, no.
You had the LDO sticker on your goggles.
Yes, and Menace patch and Menace, you know. Anyway, let's get on to Menace.
That's probably
what a segue.
Perfect segue. So, Greg, how are you? What's been happening in the world of Menace? Whenever it seems like you've gone quiet, I know that you're secretly in your bat cave coming up with new designs and products. So, you know, what's happening?
Hey, yeah, it's all good in the world of Menace. Yeah, you're quite right. I have been beavering away, working on a few more creations and stuff. I've also been making a few discoveries on performance issues and things, and how we mount things on the drones and things like that. So hopefully, this evening I'd just like to sort of breeze over a few of those things and also talk about a few products and things like that. And then if there's any sort of questions and things like that, we can go into that. And if it runs over, we can try and provide more information about this through our media channels or something. But
that sounds like a great idea. I'm sure there's plenty of subscribers salivating already. So
cool. So look, can I just start with a new product? Can I do that?
Do it.
Cool.
Yeah, cool. All right. Well, look, today we've just been posting everywhere that we've just done our very first 2.4 gigahertz FPV antenna. I've started at the point where I started with Menace. So we started with the Invader, and what we've done is come up with a 2.4 gigahertz version.
Nice. Look at that.
So, for all your 2.4 drone hunting needs.
exactly what you need for hunting drones at Gatwick.
I love the name.
The Numskull, yes. Yeah, absolutely.
That's quite, just quickly, that's quite impressive that you've got the size as good as you have, because normally the 2.4 stuff can. I mean, I've got some old 2.4 patch antennas, and they are colossal. So you've actually done quite well to keep that that size respectable.
What's this that I've got here?
Use. Oh, here we go.
Yay! Well, we were looking at these new modules for goggles that are coming out. These diversity ones for 2.4.
Yeah,
I mean,
True D have got their one, haven't they?
Absolutely. And I mean, up until the point that we had the Crossfire and things like that, 5.8 on the goggles was the most common thing. But now everyone's going over to Crossfire frequencies, or the FR Sky at 868 megahertz. Means we can now get onto 2.4 quite easily on the goggles. And the diversity modules that are there, it's a really good module. But again, I wasn't so sure about the.
Sorry, Jack told me I've got to light one of these if the donation is over $20. So RDFBV has just donated 50 quid. Here you go, Andy RC. Merry Christmas, it says.
That's very kind. Thank you, RDFPV.
Thank you, mate. You're a legend.
Thank you very
RDFPV. Thank you so much.
Merry Christmas, RDF.
We're going to need some kind of music to go with that for the next episode, aren't we?
Tony, it looks like you are so scared.
Where do I put it out? I don't want to waste the rest of my wine. Come on,
don't pour it in the wine, Tony. That'll explode as well.
Oh,
Thank you, RDFBB. Sorry to interrupt you, Greg, but that's a new part of the show.
Oh my word! So yeah, so we're trying out some of the modules, the 2.4 in the goggles,
And the sort of current offering antennas on the market, they were either not very good, or they were extraordinarily expensive and rather large. So that's why I set about first of all doing a patch.
Because Furious have got their, sorry to interrupt, but Furious have got their own, which I've got here. I've shown it on the show before, and it's absolutely massive.
Clothes aren't small, unfortunately. That's just the nature of 2.4.
Yeah, so that's also the problem, isn't it? I mean, you've sent me this. I'm currently in the process of like thinking, right, what frame do I use that's going to house this huge antenna that I've got, because it is massive. I
think it'll be when I do it, I will be doing it going into next year. It'll be on, I think, on my 6-inch more than likely.
Yeah, I mean 2.4 is perfect for 6-inch, 7-inch drones, wings, things like that. It's perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this antenna, it's an 8 dBi patch.
I've shown it before, but that's the Furious non-patch.
Yeah, version. the Omni. Yeah.
Yeah, it's massive.
One crash and that's a squashed mess, though. That's the problem.
Absolutely. They have a patch as well, which I can't seem to find. They did send it to me, but I think I lost it. But yeah, they've got their own patch. But I haven't tried any of it, so yeah, I need to. It's getting the quad built. But what I did find interesting though is I thought, well, are we going to go back? Are we not going to have smart audio? But Furious, their VTX has its own protocol that has gone into beta flight. I can't remember what it's called, but it'll have smart audio to switch the channels, which is pretty cool. Sorry. Anyways, back to you.
No worries. So yeah, 8 dBi. You're on 2.4 gigahertz. 2.4 is a bigger waveform. It naturally travels further. We've been doing a bit of range testing with this one, real world, and so far 17.5 kilometers.
Nice.
So it's gonna cover pretty much whatever you want to do with your wing or your quad or anything like that. You're gonna have a nice strong signal at all times.
My worry about 2.4 video is everything's on 2.4. So does it, like, if you were to fly close to an estate, would Wi-Fi and all of that?
You could say that, but most routers have also got a 5.8 band. I guess it's about the reserved band for 2.4 for aerial use. Does anyone know do you know the answer to that, Greg, in terms of what reserve bands we have for aerial things on 2.4?
What? Sorry, what do you mean? Like
video transmission?
For video transmission, what do you mean? Like as opposed to the digital transmission, or?
Yeah, as opposed to all the other things that are floating around on 2.4. Is there a specific area, or is it how's that handled in terms of, especially if you're at a field and you've got a load of people on FR Sky that are on 2.4 as well with their transmitters, but you're the only one on Crossfire with the 2.4 video. How much of a problem are you going to have?
You're going to have a problem. It's as simple as that. I mean, 2.4 video, if you've got someone on a 2.4 transmitter or you've got a digital 2.4 signal nearby, you're going to have a problem. So yeah, it's like if you're flying out at a fly-in field, or like we do, we're out in the countryside and there's no one else around, or we're all on Crossfire, then you get an amazingly clear signal on 2.4. So that's, you've just got to be aware of your environment and where you're flying. So if you're in the city and you're going to go and use 2.4, I would probably say forget it. Stick with your 5.8. Keep your 2.4 radio on the digital, because that's working in the packets and so on. So yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously the nice thing with the 2.4 as well, being that longer wavelength, it's as inherent with all longer wavelengths, it's also got that ability to bend around objects and go through more solid things, whereas the higher frequency stuff, I always compare it to listening to your mate your mate on the other side of the wall in the other room, listening to his music. The bit that annoys you in here is the bass. The long frequencies, the ones that penetrate through solid objects and curve round stuff, whereas all the high-end frequencies, like the treble and all that stuff, stays in the room with him. But if you're next door, it's the low frequencies you hear. Very, very similar situation with your video frequencies. So I suppose from a TBS point of view, that's a great thing, because they've always said if you can see on 5.8, you can fly with your with Crossfire, because you're nowhere near testing the range of the Crossfire as long as you can see. If you start losing video, doesn't matter, you're still nowhere near testing your Crossfire's range. Yeah. But with 2.4, you now have that option to, so I guess for the Bando stuff as well, there's all these other things that open up to you as a pilot if you then switch to the 2.4 video spectrum. So that's exciting, but as you say, we've got that small issue of interference from other.
So did you say, let's just say, something that we're used to now because of frequency hopping is that obviously we know that we don't plug our quads in when other people are flying because that could knock them out. But transmitters, if say, you know, we've got one person that's running this 2.4 system, if someone turned on their Tyrannus, would that knock out their video if they were like close to you? It would. It
certainly would have effect on your 2.4 gigahertz video. Yes, yeah.
So I suppose that is the thing that, because we've gotten so used to like just turning on our transmitters because we know it doesn't affect anyone's video, but in this case, it would. So I guess that, you know, if you're flying with a group of people, you're going to have that conversation. Look, we, you know.
So long range.
Do we know that crossover point? Because obviously on 5.8 there are specific bands, aren't there? Like Fat Shark have their own section of bands, and you've got bands in the spectrum that are assigned for different, you know, for different areas in the 5.8 spectrum. Do we have that with? Obviously, there is that on 2.4, but do we know where the crossover is in that spectrum?
Well, you've got
systems.
You've got ghosting issues though as well, haven't you? So even if it's not there, you know the ghosting of that section.
So in other words, the only way to truly overcome it is the way everyone does on the quiet, which is just to add masses of power. You end up on someone's television.
Or have a pegboard or something and go back to pegboard. I think we should go back to, ages ago we had pegboards because
we did.
Yeah, you had to. But for FPV, for some reason, we've all just decided to go turn it on and hope that no one's quad falls out of the air, which it quite often does.
I still say that when I'm on the field, powering on.
So,
yeah.
So, Greg, just going to plant the seed if you haven't
go
thought
for it.
about it already, and you probably have, but I'm going to. Have you thought about a quadcopter end solution for the 2.4 antenna in terms of something more robust than, say, what Andy's shown us today, rather than a big 2.4 clove that could be quite easily crushed? Is there any thoughts for solutions on the quad end that you have?
Yes.
Next question.
Yes, so there's a design in progress. Probably some point at the early part of next year, we should be in a position to give some information about that.
Fantastic. And how is, just out of interest, because one thing that I think opened people's eyes a little bit was that you can still get, with the right antenna, much like the Bandicoot, some very good quality signals from just using a whip antenna on the quad in the right environment. You know, there are certain environments where that doesn't work so well, but there are environments where that will work sufficiently. And obviously a whip antenna is significantly more robust than most cloveleaf style antennas. So have you done any testing using whip style antennas on 2.4 on the quadcopter, and has that worked?
No, admittedly, no. I haven't done any work on the linear side yet.
Right.
It's all been with Omni circular and polarized antennas. So, yeah, that's something that we could have a look at. because I mean it does just work quite well. I mean, with our Bandicoot and the small little whip antennas that we were originally aiming at sort of tiny whoops and things like that, but that seems to have moved now into the sort of 2-inch, 3-inch, 4-inch size drones as well now. So.
And I often I forget. I mean, it's partly unlike you. I live in the sticks, and that tends to work favourably for me. I'm not racing in a giant tin container warehouse where that would just be completely implausible. In the environments I'm flying, the Whip and the Bandicoot have actually been they've been brilliant. You know, I dare say it's a big part down to your awesome Bandicoot designed antenna, but I've done reviewed and flown and done a lot of freestyle with those 2.5-inch quads and under, and that antenna performs fantastically. So I'll assume that's a little bit later down the road, but it'd be interesting to see how that works out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, we've got another donation just quickly. Richard
I've got to
Harwood,
light something.
Thank you very much.
I've got to light a sparkler for that one.
Okay, £5 for a sparkler.
There you go, Richard Harwood.
We're going to have to get some music for this, I think.
Thank you, Richard. This is your little sparkler, and a shout out, Richard Harwood, everyone. Whee! It smells really nice in my room now. Doesn't last long, that one. Thanks, Rich.
So sorry, Greg, as you were.
Yeah, so that's our 2.4 offering, and that's our first venture into 2.4 gigahertz. So they're available now. They're up on the website, and they're going to be hitting the shops over the Christmas period. So yeah.
Who comes up with the names, Greg? Is it just you? Whoa, hold up. What is that real? Is that a pound or not?
I've got the. Sorry to interrupt, but
is the Iceman real?
This is the Furious patch. Can you see? This is the Furious patch that they sent.
That's about £10, Tony.
Oh my god!
With this antenna. So that's their version of it.
It's all going a bit mad.
Two sparklers, please, Tony. We've had T donation. Joeski FPV, thank you very much, and Ed Bruce Radcliffe. How the devil are you, sir? That's very kind. Thank you.
There you go. This one could be it. I'll do Joeski's in a minute if I don't catch. You lot just want me to catch fire, don't you?
I was going to say people are just paying now to.
Yeah, they just want me to die. Right, that one was Ed's. Here's Joeski's. People like this bit in the show, I think. There you go. There's yours. I keep it away from my furry pound shop hat, which probably isn't fireproofed.
Explain to me what the Iceman has done there. The NOK. What is that?
That's Norwegian kroner.
Ah, okay. Right. Now it's making
okay,
sense.
So how much is that?
So 100 kroner is about £10.
That's about £10.
Oh,
wonderful.
Yeah, okay, well, he gets a sparkler then.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. I'm keeping it back.
Thank you very much, the Iceman.
Happy Christmas, Iceman.
So when drones get
Joeski,
it's all right. We can just live stream fireworks.
Yeah, I just sit here trying not to catch fire.
I'm surprised your smoke alarm hasn't gone off yet.
I know, I've got two in here because this house, when I bought this house, I bought it and then looked on YouTube and you can see my house on fire. I bought it and then searched and Googled where I lived and it was on fire just after I bought it. And I was like, what have I done? But it's all good. It's all good. It smells really nice in here. It's like a bonfire night and that. Oh, MC Creations wants one.
Oh my god!
This has got to be the single. We've got MC Creations. We've got another one.
Hey, MC Creations.
Have you got enough
sound effects
for all of it?
I'm running low now. Running low, but
this is better than the 5th of November.
$5 donation from MC Creations. Our very
thanks,
good friend.
guys.
Thank
you, everyone. Far too kind.
Happy Christmas.
They're roughly $5 a sparkler, so we're at some point we'll turn profit. Greg, sorry for the most disruptive presentation ever. It's like presenting to a bunch of children, basically. With ADD.
Oh, it's awesome.
That includes our subscribers, obviously. They're part of this disruptive bunch.
Well, we got 91 people watching. I think they love the fireworks.
That's you too.
We're gonna have to have the indoor fireworks thing, you know, like them things you light, and then the big thing go. Oh look, we got another one, Cornish mule and green patches. I'm going to do both of you at the same time.
I'm slightly concerned by how many of these you have.
Yeah,
You've got enough to keep because if you run out of sparklers, Tony, it's going to end in nudity. I
can't do nudity. I've been on the news.
Maybe we have to stop
this one was
together and save it into one massive firework.
Oh my god, that is green patches and
Cornish mule.
Cornish mule. Thank you very much. Oh, mind me hat. It is from the pound shop because there's going to be no like fireproofing on my hat, is there? Oh god, I'm getting hot in here. Happy Christmas. Thank you. Sorry, Greg. I'm running low, so we can't do much.
Oh my word.
I want to say hello to my brother Terry. What's up? He's watching for the first time. We don't really do this every time, Terry. We do.
We do.
Yes, we do. and far worse, to be fair. So that's your 2.4 system in a nutshell, and that is out over Christmas. So people can go to the Menace RC website, and they'll be able to start getting hold of those. And have you got any recommendations in terms of 2.4 modules or systems, or is that really kind of a pretty small choice at the minute in terms of what we can put on our goggles, and importantly what we can put on the quad?
There's a few options out there. There's the you know, like you've got the Immersion RC do 2.4, TBS do 2.4, but Furious also do 2.4, but they do the module that pops into your fat shot goggles. So you know, if you want a neat solution, just get one of those Furious modules.
Yeah,
and pop it in.
That's what I've got in this bag. I just need to build the model.
Do you know what? Do you know what's funny about this? Every time someone references something that Andy needs to talk about, whatever we're talking, it's always with the French. So all I can think of is just behind the monitor, there's a big circular wall just out of view that is just stacked full of products. Slowly closing it.
He's got his assistant the other side. He's running around madly trying to find these things.
Well, as soon as I saw Greg came on, I switched my camera off and went and grabbed all the stuff. That's how I do it. You see, I'm getting good at this podcast business. You know, I've got everything here. In fact, I thought it was interesting. Oh my god! Are you just liking them because you like it now?
Zero FPV.
Zero, thank you.
You're not alone. A couple of people have stopped Patreon because of just what Patreon's doing, but they're still going to support us like this. I hope so. There you go, great. Zero, thank you very much. He's been one of our avid listeners from the start. We love Zero.
I noticed my Patreon decrease. Yeah, so I don't know what's going on with that. You talked about it last week, didn't you? I can't remember what the reason was, though. Some terms and conditions. I find Patreon like very like unuser friendly as well. Like it's I get like Facebook. It needs to be more like Facebook, really, in the way like someone will say, like I'll get a mail saying somebody has sent you a post, and then I go on Patreon and I can't find it, and the only way that I can find it is if I click on the email that I got sent. It's it needs work, I think, Patreon. But
Frank, can you show Greg as main screen, and can you hold up the patch antenna again? I just want to look at it because it's so cool. Look at that.
Just as another thought, would it work as a transmitting antenna on like an FR Sky X-Lite or something?
That's a very good question. That's a very good question. Could we stick those onto our FR Sky radios and use those as a focused beam for long range 2.4?
I reckon it'd work. It's circular, so
that's a good point.
yeah. So you're going to lose a little bit, aren't you? Because there's a cross polarization from circular to linear, but it'll work. I have been playing with one of these designed linear on the Tyrannus as well. So
what did you put on the copter? So I know NJ asked about have you played around with linear on the copter, but what antenna did you put on the copter or plane or whatever for the testing?
For the current testing, we used a TBS Omni antenna.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't looked.
97 people live today.
That's you, Tone. That's you on the news with your Let's Drone Out sticker. They all saw it. And thought, what is that?
That's the only reason I went down here, to get that sticker and Menace patch on there. You know what I mean?
No, the reason I ask is I know there's a chap that does long range. I've talked about him a lot. His name's Bonafide Pirate.
Yeah.
He flies kilometers at a time. And he actually uses 1.3, and he sticks with linear just because it's such a long wavelength that none of this circular polarization or anything like that really needs to be done. He doesn't find it beneficial. And of course, I've got here. This is a 1.3 gigahertz cloverleaf antenna.
How big is it?
It's going to be a beast. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
So that's 1.3.
It's huge.
And then that's 2.4.
The only other thing I noticed when I had seen long time ago 1.3 used on a glider compared to something like 5.8 is you will notice a decrease in picture quality because of the update rate. So on 5.8 you get incredibly crisp, beautiful picture, but you won't have the range. As you go down to the longer wavelengths, you won't get quite as nice picture. But,
if you go and check out Bonafide Pirate's YouTube, it was a couple of years ago. But
where's he based?
It's America, Louisiana.
1.3 and 1.2 are illegal here for video use, I think.
No, they definitely they're not for ground.
That's right, ground's fine. Well, I think isn't 1.2 still, but I think 1.3 is ground fine, but air no, and 1.2 is no and no.
That's it. Even if you've got a ham license. So, I don't know why I've got this thing.
I would never have one of them.
people still use them, don't they? And that's that's why you can get them. But yeah, no. What Bonafide Pirate did, and I've talked about it before, but he built himself a little hut because he lives on a farm and he's got his own runway and everything.
Nice.
And what was funny was because he'd been using 1.3 for so long, and we'd all been using 5.8. He got sent a 5.8 antenna for review, and he said, "Oh, I had to go and buy all of this stuff." And what he does is he sits in this hut, and he can literally fly around trees, his house, go out for 10 miles, and you get zero breakup whatsoever. And then he put the 5.8 antenna on, and he was actually crashing because of the breakup. And so that just shows you how much of a difference that it makes. So 2.4, I think, definitely will be better. Not as good as 1.3, but obviously we can't do that. So
I think it's a substantial jump in terms of range and clarity. Like I said, I think it's tricky, isn't it? Because it would do so much for the people that want to fly bando and fly around that kind of stuff, but then it's that bit harder to fit onto 5-inch quad and the kind of size of quad you want to fly around those places.
Yeah, I mean, when you're at a bando, you're trying to get through tiny gaps, aren't you?
6 or 7-inch quad in those areas. I mean, people will probably do it anyway, but interesting. So, Greg, what were the other things that you wanted to the
other thing I wanted to talk about to you was TPU. you know, the material that we use in our 3D printers. I've been working on a new antenna. I'll show you. It's just here. One of these little antennas. Yeah, a little stubby. And for racing and drones, they're mounting all the antennas in TPU very close to the body of the drone. And the practical reason of that is because if you're crashing and it's all tucked in, you're not going to damage it. Your antenna's going to last longer. But I was doing some comparative testing of antennas, and I made this sort of this discovery.
Don't tell me the material causes problems.
Oh, mate, it's horrendous.
Really?
Yeah,
no.
It really is.
This is bad news for MJ. By the way, MJ, I think your 3D print's finished.
It's only a Christmas tree.
I'm just going to throw it out the window.
Is it a TPU mount by any chance?
TPU antenna mount.
Oh no!
So what happens, Greg?
So look, where you see these small antennas. So I'll hold one up there. I'll try not to show the brand. And they mount the TPU. So this is just a sleeve. It's mounted in like this as such. So what's happening? You're putting an extra bit of material around all the active parts of the antenna, and it is detuning the antenna.
How interesting.
I've seen it shifting depending on the design of the antenna, anywhere from 160 megahertz right up to 240 megahertz.
Wow.
What that means is it's pushing the tuning of that antenna outside of all the bands that we use.
That's quite a substantial shift as well. So it's not at all a transparent material. Whatever polymer bits are in there are actually causing the detuning of the antenna by that much. You heard it here first, folks.
We've done a little bit more research on it, and all every material has like a hygroscopic value. Hygroscopic as in the moisture content within the material. So all plastics have it, everything has it. It just so happens that TPU is higher hygroscopic and it holds more moisture. Therefore, RF doesn't work well with moisture, and that's what's happening.
So this is, again, I suppose, another thing. I've only recently got into the 3D printing world within a month or so. But one thing I have noticed is the difference you get in your print qualities. We've got a resident expert on 3D printing there, whichever way he is, that way, I think. Frank at the end there.
He never says he is.
Yeah, I know. He sits here and waits for us to say really stupid things about 3D printing and then stamps on us.
And then he goes and tells all his mates.
Exactly, yeah.
His real friends.
Yeah. The thing I noticed that was really apparent was that within a few days you depending on your environment, like here for instance, I needed to dry out a couple of my filaments where I had to actually put them in the oven and bake them for an hour to try and get the moisture out, because it really affects the print. And I know TPU especially, it will suck the moisture out the air. So that's perhaps when it'd be interesting to know if you got a TPU filament, really went to town drying it out for a couple of hours and then immediately printed with it, whether you get a better end result than one from like the one you've tested.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, where we have our 3D printer, we use a dehumidifier just purely to keep the moisture levels low, and I mean, it helps with storage of electronic components and everything like that. So I'd say where we are, moisture is not that high with regards to the content level, but I mean, in some countries they've got high humidity, so I think it's going to be even worse than what I'm experiencing here.
Yeah,
I mean,
also the sort of the hygroscopic effect of it is any moisture in the air just prefers being in certain plastics than it prefers being in the air. It just has a tendency to go that way. So you can have it as dry as you like, but if you take it outdoors on like a foggy day, it will absolutely fill it up immediately. But even on a nice day with relatively low humidity, after a few days or a few hours or a few weeks, depending on all the variables, it will absorb all that moisture in it. It will find it from somewhere, and it can have all that effect of changing all the dielectrics and all the things, and having those effects.
Yeah, it's sort of that's such an eye opener. But actually, it's quite an obvious thing, isn't it? The fact that you'd have so much moisture in the TPU and wrapped right around the antenna housing.
So that's only TPU, Greg, or is it in anything else?
What I also wanted to ask as well is you spoke about them wrapping it around the antenna parts, but what about using it just to house your SMA connector?
Right. So what you've got in an antenna, you've got the active element, then you've got some coaxial cable or a connection or some description. If you're using the TPU to hold the antenna and it's away from the active part of the antenna,
that should be fine.
So you should be fine. So look,
because I do that a lot, you see, for flexibility.
Yeah, well, that's the part you're actually shielding, which is only a good thing. So if you could wrap it in loads of TP, you're only helping the cause of actual.
Yeah. So if you look, I don't know if this is coming up on the screen.
Yeah,
that's a nice frame.
But yeah, here we can see that the TPU is holding the antenna, but we've kept the active part, which this bit here, well away from the TPU. We've also kept it well away from the carbon plate as well. So therefore, we've done before and after tests of it mounted here, and there's no change whatsoever. So it really is. You've got to keep that TPU away from the active part of the antenna.
That's great information, Greg. I think everyone will feel happy to have had that bit of information. And
so you heard it here first.
So don't need to throw my TPU out completely, because I actually don't cover the antenna with anything. It's just to get the flex. I find I didn't realize people were wrapping the whole thing around the antenna, but I guess I guess they have some really bad crashes, right? And it's for that.
I would say if you're at a race, you would see sort of 80 to 90% of the drones have got the antenna wrapped in TPU.
Wow, that's mad. No wonder they're getting terrible video signal then.
This is our other point, because I think what it's led me on to do now is that I will be performing all the antenna tests based on mounting our antennas in TPU, mounting them in the final position on the drone, so that we can see that it's going to be immune to where it's being mounted, whereas some other antennas aren't immune. I mean, the great thing about the design we use, the Pagoda design, it's got 3 PCBs. The bottom PCB is a balun. That balun stops standing waves on the coax. So as long as we mount that balun above the carbon, we know that antenna is not going to get affected by the carbon, the TPU, or anything like that. So we're going to have the clearest signals with our antennas mounted. Not all antennas have got a balun, but that is like what we're going to sort of do and recommend for all our antennas now, especially if you're doing like indoor racing, where there's a lot of reflections and things like that. Because I haven't even gone into the area of testing the antennas to see how that TPU band around it is going to affect A, the gain, or B, the actual ratio. So I mean, there's a whole load of more testing to be done on this.
Yeah, because just to kind of clarify what you were saying with it detuning it, so that 140 megahertz shift, that's not saying that it's shifting the frequency that's transmitted through the antenna by 140 megahertz. It's shifting the sort of the natural resonance of the antenna, so it means it would be less effective at transmitting at the frequency that we're intending it to transmit on.
Yeah, so essentially what's happening is that you're detuning that antenna. You're still say you're driving it exactly 5.8 gigahertz, and you've just moved it, let's call it 200 megahertz. So now that antenna is at 5.6 gigahertz, you're driving it at 5.8. If you then look at the return loss curve, or the VSWR curve, the VSWR will show you a mismatch at what the frequency you're driving it at. Therefore, the efficiency of the transmission of that antenna has gone down. So whilst you think you might have the latest antenna delivering you a whole 2 dB or whatever it's rated at, realistically, it's going to be a lot less.
Brilliant. There's some really interesting
We are so close to 100 viewers.
We're almost there. And
if we get 100, I'll like the big one again.
Like the big one. While we're here, can you please, if you can, smash the like button, because that does wonders for us to help the channel grow.
Yeah.
So, we've got 33 likes. Please keep the likes coming in.
I disliked.
Oh, we're at 99.
Well, one more. Should we do a Menace giveaway if you get 100?
Oh, there you go. What are you going to give away, Greg?
That's up to you.
Yeah. There you go.
Menace giveaway is one evening, one night with Tony.
I tell you what, I bet people would appreciate those LEDs if they saw how bloody bright they were.
Yeah. Well, look, what we'll do a Numskull. Let's do one of our LED kits, and we're probably chucking a T-shirt or something like that. How's that sound?
It's 99. Come on, guys.
I thought it just went over.
Oh no, I've just.
Oh, it has 100.
We've got 100.
There you go.
101. There you go. I'll let you guys do the giveaway.
Thanks a lot, guys.
We've got a pick out of these guys.
Andy, sort out how we do this now.
Pick someone from the chat randomly. Have we gone out? Mine still says 97.
Oh, it's gone down again.
Now we're going to come up against the issue of concurrent counting on YouTube. Tom Scott has done an interesting video on how this all works. So everyone's computer is now polling a different server, and each server has its own latest update.
Mine says 97 until mine says 100. This ain't getting lit, and you ain't getting shit.
No, it went to 101 tone.
It's 101 for me. Yeah,
I can't see. I'm
101.
103. 103. Right, we're like the bugger. Hey, oh my god. This is so dangerous. My dog's looking at me like, what the hell are you doing, you idiot? It's actually quite warm as well. Keep it away from the Asda hat. Oh no, it's Pound Shop, even worse.
Can I just say,
we've never ever had this many live.
For everyone watching, like that's fantastic. There are channels with 30,000 subscribers plus that I've not seen go over 35 viewers. So that is just amazing, guys. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you very much
for tuning in.
The first report in the chat was Scott Watson. So if Scott Watson wants to send us a message with his details, then we'll pass them on to Menace.
There we go. Scott Watson.
Thank you very much, Menace. Scott Watson, well done.
Yeah, you've won yourself some. What was it again, Greg? We're
going to do a Numskull, one of our drone LED kits, and a T-shirt. So we need to know your size as well.
Yeah, it's probably best to know as well, because obviously if you get the Numskull, if you don't have a 2.4 setup, then maybe you'd want the LEDs, or I don't know.
I'll tell you what, if they don't want 2.4, we'll do a Pico. So that's 5.8. So yeah, there you go. They've got an option: 2.4, 5.8.
Well,
that is super.
That's
so what was the rule? What was the rules then, Andy, to win stuff?
I just went back through the chat and saw the first person who reported that we went over 100. And it's like that'll be a good way of picking someone.
Well done, Frank, and well done, Scott.
All right, so now the next one is 200 now.
I've got nothing else to set fire to apart from my hat.
Well, I'd be fine with that tone. I'm sure it would go up like a light if you got it for the pound store. Probably better than them fireworks.
Probably. I'm running out. I'm gonna have to go and buy some more. I've got three little sparklers left. And that's it.
So everyone's got to go out, share the news that we exist, and that we can actually have informative shows. Just news to us.
We don't talk about lawnmowers all the time.
And get people to tune in live next week. So Thursday the 27th, 8 p.m. ish, as always. And yeah, thank you for listening and watching, and follow us on YouTube and Facebook, and we've got the podcast that goes out, so you can subscribe and get all the downloads of the podcast episodes, which all get edited to get the swear words out.
So 100 again, MC Creation said it went 100 a game. By the way,
Hey, that's great. Thank you.
is that a reason to? Oh, we're just doing the one giveaway. Did you say? Or...
What have you got, Andy? What are you throwing out there?
Oh no! I thought I wasn't sure what the rules were for.
Just the once, Andy.
Yeah.
Got you.
So, 27th, have we got anyone on, Frank? Who's in the books?
So this is going to be the 27th, where we're all coming to my spot before my spot disappears. So we need to work out the logistics of that.
So
Yes.
that could be a live stream then.
So,
like,
yeah,
from
so
the build.
there's a few of us going to be there. I will say now that I'm going to be there. And Andy, you're coming down as well?
Yeah, I am.
So we're all going to be getting together for much shenanigans. So do make sure you're around for that, because I'm sure it's going to be the usual hilarity and more. And hopefully we'll do some flying and a bit of whoop fun. And yeah, it should be good.
Someone's just posted that I'm on BBC One now.
Oh,
dear.
Tony's been upgraded to BBC One.
Dear.
Oh,
I do apologise, everyone.
We're going to see a SWAT team come through the door any minute. black bag over his head, rustling out.
With
And
all
then-
his bomb making equipment, he's been lighting tonight.
And then the 3rd, which is the Thursday after, is Girls' Night Part 2. So we got 4 girls coming on for a chat to tell us about how they got into FBV. Normally they're boyfriends, hoping some of them are single. You know, like, probably not.
Wow.
But no.
That is not the reason.
Quick update. Apparently, we've only got one of those guests.
Yeah.
Girls' Night is on the 3rd.
Okay, it's just been
I
cancelled.
might not be on here on the 3rd. But yeah, that's the week after. So Girls' Night Part 2. Because we've had Girls' Night 1. Girls'
Thank you,
Night
everyone. And I think we're going to call it there.
I think we'll call it there. Let's just say one last time, Merry Christmas to everyone. I hope you have a fantastic Christmas. And yeah, we'll see you on the 27th. I should say a big thank you to Greg for coming on and giving us some absolutely fantastic information. Don't forget to go to his website. So you can say goodbye now, Greg.
Yep. Thank you very much, and Merry Christmas, everyone.
We've been joined also by Andy RC.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, everyone, and thanks for watching or listening.
Private investigator Tony, who has now been upgraded to BBC level fame.
Bonjour.
Andrew / Frank.
Merry Christmas.
From everyone at LDO and myself, NJ Tech. Have a great one, guys, and we'll see you very soon.
Cheers, guys.
Bye-bye.